The way that I'm thinking about what you're saying here is that communication has always been something over time that like we have to communicate throughout the organization from our overall not only mission and vision and core values, how we fit into the market, our unique go-to-market strategy and everything. The more that we can communicate, but in a way that builds trust, that has buy-in behind it. If people aren't bought in, that we don't operate as a business without high performance teams. It doesn't work. Like VCs, private equity companies, they invest in the people first, the idea second. So this idea of building trust internally is so important. But you slipped in a little something there that I want to explore. You talked about RevOps. Tell me, why is RevOps an important part of building this internal trust?
RevOps is the trust center of your go-to-market team or of your organization. And I've definitely heard it said on this podcast and I've heard it said across the board, but I think in practice, it's very different than verbalization. A strong RevOps team, a strong RevOps leader specifically is going to create the trust that you need internally and externally. And here's why. Alignment. Let's come back to that word because I'm going to use them interchangeable. Alignment for a go-to-market team always meant meetings and updates. We have a meeting, we get an update, all the team's there, marketing's there, sales is there, operations is there, finance is there. We have our meetings, we have our updates, everyone's aligned, we move on. The problem is not everyone's reading the same story. With a strong RevOps team, it's data before story. Instead of these meetings and these updates being essentially finger pointing, a strong RevOps team doesn't allow for there to be finger pointing because everyone's looking in the same mirror. You can't point a finger without pointing at yourself when you're looking at good, clean RevOps data. And for me, RevOps is the Switzerland of the organization. And I think that's the cliche. I think a lot of people say that now, but it's really a discipline in the organization as opposed to a department. It doesn't align. It's not something that reports to sales. It's not something that reports to marketing. And this is something that I've seen happen time and time again. RevOps is a secondary function of sales enablement, or it's a secondary function of marketing and operation enablement and delivery, et cetera. It has to be a completely separate item on your org chart. It can't have any bias towards any department. It has to be like the single source of truth. And this isn't scraping your CRM or in staffing side, scraping your ATS and making sure the data is there. For me, in the teams that I run and the teams that I work with, if there's a process problem, I want people going to the RevOps leader before they come to me. And that's how I know that the trust is building. Because when we are able to forecast and predict reliably, time and time again, teams trust in what they're doing. They trust in that what they are doing is leading to the end goal and the big goals and the big rocks that we're trying to push uphill here. They understand how all their activities fall into it. And with RevOps, I also think that people defer to, they're the KPI police. They're the ones that make sure everything's in Salesforce and make sure everything is in the ATS and all the boxes are checked and that your KPIs are hit. But it's a strong RevOps leader and a strong RevOps team. It takes KPIs from a task to a compass. It's scientific. It's a proven formula to the success that everyone wants. And that's executive leadership. That's how we present to a board. That's how we present to our CEOs. And that's how we present to our delivery and our sales team. So for me, the trust epicenter sits within revenue operations.
Very few of us would say we are against making fact-based decisions. We're not going to say that. But in reality, what happens, I'm imagining life without the RevOps in that single source of truth. And then guess what happens? We're all left to be really experienced, smart people running our different departments and C-suite individuals. And we know how to make decisions. We didn't get to where we were at because we didn't know how to make a decision. So we will. But we'll make them independently without a single source of truth. There has to be something that unites us all together. Or else that's the key. Misalignment is typically most often cited as marketing and sales. And there's tons of reasons of why, and this could be a whole podcast just about that. And in your marketing point of view, I'd love to have. Maybe that's the next in the series. But am I reading this right? Is that what's lacking is a single source of truth that drives misalignment internally. So we have to create that single source of truth. And what you're saying is it's RevOps. Is that like a good takeaway?
That's 100% accurate. That's exactly what I'm saying. I compare RevOps to oxygen, and I probably use this all the time. And I'm sure my team is going to listen to this and be like, oh, saying it again. It's like oxygen. You don't notice it when it's there. You don't pay a lot of attention to it. But when it's gone, nothing works. Nothing works. And single source of truth, I think that's probably a term that gets used a lot. Our CRM is our single source of truth, and our ATS is our single source of truth. And RevOps, from a forecasting and a pipeline perspective, is the single source of truth. But what I tell my RevOps leader is, you're the single source of truth when it comes to this, but you're also, and this is a weird term, and I'm happy to explain it, you're also the historian of our strategy, because all the data that you produce, they're cross-functional. They have to understand the implications across the business. So a lot of times we can see data, and we can see repeats in data, and we can see trends. And guess what happens with all the really smart people in the room? They defer to the same strategies and different variants on a move forward basis. And what I look for with the RevOps team is to say, we've seen this trend before. We've had very similar conversations. I think this is what we did last time. Here's the reasons why this didn't work this time. Here are suggestions based on cross-departmental specialties. What do you want to do? Because I don't look at them just as data point collectors. I want to collect data points before I start collecting judgments, but I 100% want my RevOps person to be able to interpret data and present to me in a way like I would present to a CEO and say, okay, let's work together on what this is. And when we tie that alignment back to it, like we talked about sales and marketing, where's the misalignment? It's always, we don't know which leads are producing actual revenue. We don't know what long-term growth comes from specific campaigns. Everyone feels that their aspect of is more important, or what they're contributing to it is more important. And there's no like attribution across the board. When RevOps has that in the most humble format for everybody, there's no way around it. We're now talking about what exists as opposed to what was supposed to exist and what we hope is going to exist. This is what exists today. And how do we move on with the information that we have? And when everyone is looking at the same playbook, there's no alternative interpretations to what's happening. Or we're at 80% forecast. That can't mean something different for sales, marketing, and finance. It has to mean the exact same thing. Otherwise, very uncomfortable monthly and quarterly conversations at the ELT meetings.